people on the board.
And
Or if I,
Denny
you know,
submits
should
the
have to
receipt.
go, if he's not available and I might have to go get something for the park, then I'll use my card, and it's one that we get cash back on.
Just a side note, I just started recording, so because I know Karen from is not, and Sue isn't here, so you guys are on camera.
Beth just asked in the chat, can any park with financing through ROC handle their payables if they want? That is sort of a, so in each of your loan agreements, it stipulates that you have full service property management and that ROC USA Capital, your lender, your first mortgage lender, has reserves the right to review your contracts with your manager. So if you were ever to change or amend a contract at all, oh, sorry. Okay, thanks, John. If you were to change managers or amend your current contract, you would have to run that by them. That's in the loan agreement, at which point they would sort of say, we want more we want more money to move through your management company or not. Like John said, there is sort of a spectrum. And I know, Terry, you guys have had the same agreement with Q&D for 11 years. So it could be that what flew 11 years ago maybe
Doesn't fly now.
Maybe wouldn't fly now. So I can't really answer that, I guess is what I'm saying. But ROC USA Capital could, if you proposed to them, like, we want to do it this way, then they would say, yes or no. So, and they reserve the right to do that in your loan agreement. Yeah, thanks. That's a good question, Beth, because I think a lot of communities have that question. They're like, can we save ourselves some money that way? Can we, so yeah. Sorry, John.
No, good, yeah. So then moving right along then, right?
Yes. So how do each of you sort of, or the treasurers, or how does the treasurer of your board present the financial health of the community? Like at a board meeting, how do you present your financials?
Well,
Go ahead.
I just tell them how much is in our account here, how much is in the reserve accounts, how much is owed to ROC, how much is owed to New York State.
So
and then I tell like what we spent for the month on, what I paid out, above like the normal bills.
Right. Okay, thanks, Terry.
And ours, for our board meetings, now we have a finance meeting beforehand where we go line by line, so that we have an idea on what the expenses and actually revenue is. And we use the quotient, the debt to income ratio that's given, and obviously we want it above 1. Lately we've been, hanging in that 1.21, 1.3. So we're fiscally responsible. We've got a good cash flow and everything. And those are numbers that when we go to the board meeting, those are the numbers that we use, so folks understand that we want to maintain a positive cash flow and that our debt to income ratio is correct. That's why it's imperative for them to pay their HOA or lot rent on time. So we watch that very, very closely. So if someone is struggling, we have conversations right away. So it's a little different from finance meeting to board meeting. We do it a lot finer in the finance meeting with just the finance board. But to the community, we're very transparent. Any questions they may have, we can pinpoint rather quickly. So that's how we do it.
Great, thanks, Ron. And I would say, yeah, quick plug for a finance committee, because I think having that time to dig really deeply, as you're saying, Ron, and look, and then distill it down into a report for the board, super, super helpful, I think, and super important. Anybody else? How does your board discuss financial health at your board meetings? If you're not the treasurer, how do you receive that information? Any thoughts about that?
I think that at Brittany Terrace, we do the same as Terry. I actually almost the exact same thing as Terry does. It seems to work out well.
So going through like the account balances,
Yep.
money out, money in.
Yep. Any big items that weren't expected, like we've had lately.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's basically what I do. I have 2 reports at the board meeting, the beginning balance, any money collected, any money out. And then I have to divide it between Venture Lake and the social club. And we also have a cash account or cash, petty cash, and I give a report on that if there's anything, same thing, beginning balance, anything paid in or out.
And that's on those petty cash accounts, right, Joanne?
Right.
Beth,
What?
was that you, Beth? No?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, all we do at ours is the petty cash beginning and ending, and I think it'd be better. And then for some reason, the financials are done in executive session. I feel the people should hear that, right? Is that what everybody does? So the whole members hear that,
That's what we do, yes.
or no?
Yeah, I would say the spirit of the executive session is to provide some privacy around things like violation notices and things of that nature, where you don't want one member to hear that another member is having an issue with a dog or needs to have their home power washed or something. So I think that's, am I right, Molly? That's the
You think it's
spirit.
more transparent?
Well, that the spirit of that executive session is to shield members from having their dirty laundry aired, right? So
Right, and the finances would not constitute dirty laundry.
Right.
Yeah. So in fact, most
I-
co-ops in their bylaws have a section towards the end that says something about that records have to be, open to the membership with a certain amount of notice. So that could include all that financial information, not like accounts receivable, like who owes you money, but all that other, like an audit or something like that would be fair game.
The caution for us with that is if someone has, we have an executive session, so which again is with the finance meeting is perhaps someone struggling to pay.
Mhm.
I mean, we specifically, privacy is important. But the other part of that is that that people, anyone, we tell them in the general board meeting, anyone can come and take a look at the financial statements at any time. They are not allowed out of the treasurer's home. You don't make copies. They're not for public, and that's just that's private information. But any member can view it at any time, and subsequently any questions that they may have, we can drill down deeper and we can take it right to the end if we need to. So I didn't want to make it sound like, even though I said it was transparency, I don't want to make it sound like we're Oz behind a big curtain, because we're not. The executive session is for drilling down for us as people in finance to see where we can save money. I mean, there's a lot of, what do I say, doldrum. There's a lot of boring stuff, but when you start, straining gnats, it's one of those things that people don't want to hear that. So it's one of those things that's just a matter of proficiency more than anything else. But once again, anyone who is a member that says they want to see the books and they have specific questions, two of the board members go to the treasurer's house with them and we sit down. And I've had it in 3 years, I've had it happen once. But it's one of those things that anyone wants to see anything at any time, and we'll drill down as far as you want to go. But most people, it's tough enough just to get them to come to a board meeting, and that's on Zoom, let alone finance. Let alone finance. It's like they need a bottle of old granddad to get them through. So, but it's one of those things that we really tout the transparency and how distinctive we are in drilling into the accounts to be able to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. So.
Great, thanks, Ron.
I got a follow-up question. So at the risk of embarrassment, I probably should know this, but how transparent are ROCs supposed to be? So for instance, the aging report, who's behind on their lot fee? Is that something that residents members have a right to see?
No, not the names and lot. Like you could hypothetically send it out with the identity. Did I just freeze again?
Yeah, you did.
Yep,
But you can hear me. Am I still frozen?
yep, yep.
We can hear you.
I'm probably making a bad face. Sorry.
You look
And-
wonderful.
Thank you. You could send out that aging report, the information scrubbed, but you also could just report like all the 0 to 30.
Oh, well, so, yeah, okay,
Sorry, everyone.
yeah.
Well, when I give the report at the board meeting, I just give what the balance is owed in lot rents.
Yeah. That's good.
And then Q&D sends out letters to the people that owe, but in 11 years, we've been dealing with the same people that are always behind in their rent. So they get a letter from Q&D and they probably, oh, well, right in the trash, So I just got sick of it. So now I just call them up when I get the report, or I go knock on their door. And, of course, we can't evict them now. And so they've all been, they bring the money to me. And then I take it right to our bank and deposit it. So I go in a friendly way and, what's going on? Because our park is mostly seniors. So we didn't have a problem with COVID. There was only like maybe 1 or 2 people that lost their job, but their spouses were still working. But it wasn't anybody that wasn't behind in their rent.
And Terry, I might put Jim from the Woodlands in touch with you. They might or might not go the same route as you, where board members, the operations manager might be not knocking on doors. So he was, yeah, so I might connect you guys. So it's 2:24. We scheduled this as an hour and a half, but we designed it for an hour. So we might be able to get you done in an hour. And I know some of you need to, move on and get other stuff done. So at this point, unless anybody has any other questions, we can just move into a PowerPoint. Any final thoughts or feelings? All right, so I'm going to throw this up here. And let's see. Is that working?
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the 6 financial things John sent out to you, that handout with this invite. Can you raise your hand if that looked even remotely familiar to you? That sheet, have you ever seen that before in your life? Just curious. Okay, mostly no, and that is okay. So those 6 things are basically, if we had to distill, I know some of you get financial reports that are like 70, 80 pages long. If we had to distill all that into just 6 things that every board member, I'm not saying every treasurer, I'm saying every board member, right? So it's good that you're all here, should know, should be able to leave the meeting, every board meeting, feeling like, yep, I got it. I know these 6 things, and that gives me a pretty good holistic understanding of the financial health of our co-op. So this first one is the one we were just talking about. How much money is owed to your resident-owned community? And that is your accounts receivable. So it's actually an asset on the balance sheet because it's money that you've earned, but you haven't taken it in. So you don't want that number to go up and up and up. You want it to be 0, ideally, although I've only seen that like once or twice. But so it's normal to have folks behind, as it sounds like everyone is experiencing, but keeping that number in check, doing everything you can, like Terry's talking about, to keep that number in check is important, because the lot rent is the only money that you have, generally speaking. Some of you have a few other income streams, depending on if you meter for water or things like that. But you need that money coming in to pay your bills. So that's the first thing of the 6 things to know. How much money is owed to you? And, you know, sub question would be like, what are we doing to get that money in our bank accounts? So.
And Molly, quick facilitators huddle. I've got the cheat sheet, which is like the report with marker on it. I could pivot, I could switch between this and that. Like, so here, what do you think of this? And then do this, and then do this. So like,
Yikes.
is that, what do you think of doing that?
Yes. We can just
Go back and forth?
we can just keep it on this rather than make you jump around. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is the balance sheet, so this is where we're hanging out for at least a little bit to find some of the answers to our 6 things.
Okay, so number 2, well, I am gonna jump though back, and I'm gonna do this. So then the second thing would be, did it work? No, my bad. Come on now. I'm going to, okay. And it's just sharing screen. Yeah, this is instructive. All right. So then the question then is, what are the balances of each of the ROC's bank accounts? And so there's the operating account, the working capital account, debt service, replacement reserve, and the tax and escrow account. So, you know, you got your operating account, which is, it's like your checking account. It's where your most activity is, and your lot rent comes in, and your mortgage goes out. And then you got your working capital, and that's like a savings account. It's a rainy day fund. It's not restricted, but your loan agreements tell you what the minimum is that needs to be in there. That's in the loan agreement.
Mhm.
And then your debt service account, and that's static, and Molly calls it the apocalypse fund. And so that, right? So it's the banks saying, if a meteor comes and hits your community, we want to get paid for that month, and let's just assume FEMA comes in and sets everything up, and money starts flowing again that month of mortgage, they'll get their hands on that, so. And then the replacement reserve is the capital improvement savings, right? So and there's a monthly deposit on that. And if you want to get your hands on it, and Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, all the lenders require approval for a payout. So you gotta, check with ROC USA or another lender to be able to pay that out. And of course, this is for infrastructure like water lines or roads. And tax and insurance escrow, that's, an automatic monthly deposit, and it's paid out when it's due. So presumably your property managers are doing this. Terry, I don't know if you do this part. And the monthly draw ensures that enough is there. So that's that. And see if I can go back to the graffiti one. And that's over here. So that's the various accounts, they show up under assets. Okay.
And just to say that your tax and insurance escrow is automatically sucked out of your operating account with your mortgage payments and your replacement reserve deposit. So that's all taken out in one big chunk by your lender. Okey doke. Can you zoom in a little bit on that, John?
Zoom in on this, the aging, or?
Well, we're looking for number 3, which is what do we owe to our vendors. So if accounts receivable is what people owe you, then accounts payable is what you owe to your vendors. That is unpaid as of whenever this report is published, which generally it comes in, not generally, it comes in every month at the end of the month, but then some of you also get reports from your property managers like to the date of the meeting, which might look a little bit different. But how much money do you owe to others would be your accounts payable number. So you can see here, this is a made up report from Happy Go Lucky Cooperative, and you can see that they are doing pretty well. They only owe their vendors $460. And sometimes your property manager will also put that into an aging report, just like your accounts receivable, so you can see how old the debt is, because that also will tell you how bad is it that we owe someone $460? Like, do we owe it to them a week ago and we're just processing the check? Or do we owe it to them 90 days ago and we don't have the money to pay for it, right? Those are very different like levels of urgency with the same amount of money owed, right? So that's a good thing to know. And also that's a number you just want to see stay low, right? Because I've seen in some co-ops it starts to go up every month, and what that starts to tell me is that they are overspending. They don't have enough money coming in to pay off all their bills, so they're racking up some debt essentially. So that is question number 3. How much money does the cooperative owe to your vendors? And that is just the accounts payable number right there.
And then the fourth question is, the fourth thing is around the deficit and the surplus. So so that's your bottom line, right? So did we lose money or make money this year? And how did we do? Well, yeah, monthly and annually, right? So up here you see this is the year, here's the budget, and here's over budget. And so at the bottom line, the net income, here's the year, here's the budget, and falling short a little bit at the end of the year for these guys. Okay.
And that falling short bit is actually question number 5 that kind of climbs up the side there. You have to turn your head a little bit to see it. How did we do compared to the budget? So if your budget is your educated guess on how you're going to spend and earn your money in any given period of time, then that column that says dollars over budget is your budget variance, it's sometimes called. So how far are we off in our guesstimate that we made on any given line item? You can see it's broken down, and then as John showed at the bottom, they'll do the whole calculation for you so you can see overall. So like, looks like they spent a lot less on legal fees than they had budgeted for, but then they spent quite a bit more on management. So at the end, you can see, you know, it pretty much all came out in the wash. But that's also why it's good to get, as Ron was saying, the finance committee does, get a little granular, see like, you know, maybe our budget overall wasn't so far off, but it looks like we need to make some serious adjustments to our management fee and our legal expenses line items. So every year when you're budgeting, you're making an even more educated guess about the next year because you gathered that much more data. So the budget variance is going to give us some context for our actuals, right? It's like how good of a job did we do at guessing, basically, and what do we need to adjust as a result of that.
All
What
right.
was number 4, actually? What was the title on number 4?
Number 4, well, wasn't that how much money does the ROC owe to vendors, accounts payable? Is that what
That
we?
was number
No, that was
number 4.
number 3.
Number 4 is
Depends which,
gosh.
yeah.
Number 4 is there a deficit or surplus for any given period of time?
I
So
have that as 3. Okay.
this month or this year.
So Molly, there's a little discrepancy. The document we sent, there's 2 ROC USA 6 things, and the order is not the same in both documents.
Okay. Well, as long as there's 6 things,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter the order they're going in. I apologize
Yeah.
for
So,
any confusion there. Sorry.
Yeah. So it depends what you're looking at. Joanne, are you looking at the one I sent you, or are you looking at or are you going by your notes about what we've been?
I'm going by my notes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what Molly said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense, yeah, okay.
Well, and then finally, are we, it's about the, one moment, please. How do I get this up here and then here? And then finally, how much is being spent on capital expenditures? So the capital reserve bank accounts, this is about your infrastructure improvements outside of operating expenses, right? So this is in regards to your replacement reserve. So what did we budget? And your loan statement, and yes, in your loan statement, and then most of you will have in your bylaws an amount that triggers going to your membership for an improvement. So you have up to a certain amount. You've got leeway to shoot from the hip and make decisions about spending for capital infrastructure improvements. But after that, you're going to need to go to your members. And that is.
Hey, John, on that amount that, that's in the bylaws, is that for a single vendor or for a whole total job?
I'm going to defer to Molly.
So I guess I'll back up for just a second, because when you make your budget, you also do your capital improvement planning every year, and you propose that to the membership as part of the budget. So as long as something is in the budget or in the capital improvement plan for this year, that you've already had the membership vote on. They've already weighed in, you've sort of ticked that box. But if you have something come up that you want to do that hasn't been run by the membership and it goes above that amount, I would say that's a good, I don't think that's clearly outlined in the bylaws, Beth, like as to if it's, but really the spirit of that is that it's the membership's money. It's the corporation's money. It's not the board's money to be spending willy-nilly, not that anyone's doing that. But so the spirit of it is that, you know, you should generally, the membership should have a good understanding of what money's coming in and what money's going out and what it's being spent on. So I would say whatever the lower threshold is what I would go with. Like, you want to be as transparent as possible, always. That's my thought about this. And you, because the worst option is that you spend something, you say that you like follow the letter of the law, but the membership feels bamboozled and they're like really mad about it, you know? Because the goal is that everything's above board and everybody knows where the money is going. So did that answer your question? Probably not.
Yeah, no, sort of. It's sort of the way I was leaning. I figured it'd be the whole job, not just one. And if you do it just one job, you're actually trying to slide something through, which I don't think is right.
Right, like if you're paying, like if your threshold is $5,000 and you're paying $4,500 for this thing and $4,500 for that thing.
For one job.
Really, the whole thing costs $9,000 unbudgeted dollars. Like that seems a little bit like maybe the letter of the law is being followed, but the spirit is not. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yes, it. Yep.
Okay. So that's the 6 things. And I would say as a starting point, having those 6 things in your hands when you go to a board meeting to say like, these are the answers to these 6 questions, is a great place to start with your financial reporting. If you're sort of right now, like, what am I supposed to be saying to the board? Or as a board member, what am I supposed to be knowing when I leave a board meeting? So sorry, John, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry for jumping the gun. And I would add to that we're here. Anybody want us to work with you or a treasurer? You know, we'll set it up, whether it's virtually or I'm gonna drive somewhere. It's, you know, I'm starting to drive around.
Right, like the annotated document that John was sharing, we could go through your financials with you just like that and help you find these 6 things in your actual documents, because chances are they don't look exactly like that. Some of yours do because your property manager uses QuickBooks, but some of yours really don't. So if it would be helpful for us to comb your financials with you, we can do that.
And here is an advertisement for the YouTube page. So all things financial and plus water coolers and trainings. It's the Pathstone Manufactured Housing Community Program YouTube page, and Molly's got a whole bunch of videos related to treasurer finances and that kind of stuff. So a great resource. And I will send a link. I'll send all this stuff out to all of you. I'll email it out with the link to that. All right. So trending report in the last 15 minutes. Should I put something up? I don't.
Can you just share the trending report, I guess?
Okay, so is that, let's see. Is there a happy-go-lucky trending report or?
No, just a blank one.
Oh, so that was
that's
this, yeah, and that's the attachment to this. So
yes, yeah.
I am navigating there and opening this, and it's turning around in a circle, and okay.
So if the 6 things tell you, what to report on every month, or what you should be leaving the board meeting with an understanding of, the trending report is my favorite because it shows you those numbers in context, right? So when I first started this job, I would look at like a co-op's bank account and be like, they've got like $80,000 in their operating account. Like, what possibly could be wrong, right? But maybe they're normally supposed to have 200,000, right? And that actually is a bad thing for them. So what the trending report does is it allows the treasurer to each month put in mostly just those 6 things that we already talked about, put those into the trending report, and then share with the board every month, and everybody can see, okay, this bank account balance is going up or going down or staying the same, right? Same with accounts payable, same with accounts receivable. So you can start to track, and maybe like every March you pay for your audit, and so your operating account takes a hit, but maybe that in the context of the larger, the yearly numbers, so you're not worried about it. Like you know that that's a trend that you withstand every year, or you notice worrisome trends, right? That your accounts receivable continues to go up and up and up. Or you can see at the bottom there's a section where you note like vacant homes and vacant lots. If those numbers are going up, chances are your income is going down. So that's something you want to keep an eye on. So another thing we can do with you, if you or the treasurer of your community is interested, is go through and help you fill in these squares for a month or 2. So you can start to build your trending report and build on it. And if you don't like Excel or you don't have Excel, we could probably find a way to get this to you in like a PDF or a Word document. I haven't really thought that through, but I know some people don't have Excel. So if that's super annoying, we can find out a way to do that. But John, if you could zoom in on the column that just has the words, sorry, the words. So we can just take a quick look. Yep, so it's just saying, it's basically answering those 6 questions. What's your total income, total operating expenses? It'll do the math for you if you do it in Excel to see if you have a deficit or a surplus. So that's kind of nice. Then you list all your accounts, all your account balances there. And again, you're just tracking that month to month. Your accounts receivable, what's owed to you, your accounts payable, what do you owe, your transfers to your escrow account, to your capital reserve account, your replacement reserve account, and then what money you've spent from your capital reserve account on infrastructure. If you have a deficit, you could explain it in that document too. Like I said, this month we paid for our audit, cost a bunch of money. That's why. And then if your escrow isn't transferred, which I don't actually know why that's a row in here, because I've never heard of that. That would have to be like at the direction of your lender. So maybe we could even take that out. I don't know. And then what did you spend your capital reserve money on if you did spend it? And then just tracking your home sites. Are you fully occupied? If not, what can you do to get fully occupied? So that's the trending report and those 6 things. But really, I think the highlight here is just helping you find a tool that works for you in this reporting, so that everybody knows and has a good understanding of the financial health of your co-op. Because even if your property manager is doing all this stuff for you, it's still really important for the board to have a good understanding, because it's your guys' money, it's the community's money. It's not the property manager's money. So you want to have enough information to provide that oversight of your property manager. So what did I miss, John? What did I forget?
Well, so then
actually, if I can add one thing here, Molly, if you don't mind. One of the things when there were people that did have questions, because if you remember, we came from a month to month to an accrual basis. And this trending report really helped a lot with people in the community to understand the ebb and flow of the business, because they would look at numbers on one month and their hair would be on fire. and then the next month they were so happy they wanted to go spend $10,000 because we had it. So this trending report gives you an even flow, or as it says, surprisingly, a trend, so that you
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that everybody is, everybody, folks, even with a minimal amount of accounting understanding, can get an idea of the flow of business, and it can save you a lot of headaches. So we use it quite a lot.
Yes, and thank you, Ron, because that's something that we should have said up top. So you all are required again by your lender to operate on an accrual basis accounting, but I think that's sometimes inherently confusing for people, because most of us run our personal books on a cash basis, right? Like, I'm not going to spend money that I don't have in my hand, hopefully. So, but accrual basis, it marks all of the money that you've earned the day you've earned it, and it marks all the money you've spent the day you spent it, regardless of where that money actually exists in the world, if that makes sense. It's a little confusing, but like Ron said, it helps with understanding over time versus like a point in time as much. So
I just this moment understood what the accrual basis is.
yay. Yay, good. I'm glad.
And,
When he said month to month into accrual, I said, that's what it means.
Yeah.
and I learned from actually watching Molly's video. I finally figured it out.
I'll have to watch it.
So with that advertisement for the usefulness of the trending report, our concluding question for you all, well, not quite. We have another round of questions, is how would you do it different? Like, did anything today like spark you to make a note to yourself, or like, oh, we want to do something slightly different? Anybody? Anything? Any notes to self?
My notes to self is I really loved what I just learned. Finances was always done in executive session. I feel the people should know something, and the easier you make it for them, the better. And I think you get more interest when they start being able to participate and see that.
And Karen is working today, so in the future we'll need to do these in the evenings. But yeah, she's interested in seeing what the next step is for her.
Yeah, that's great.
Which could maybe involve the trending report. Anybody else? Keeping on is keep what we're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. And then finally, a whole slew of evaluation type questions. Please, if you appreciate what we did, give us the gift of your feedback. What's missing? What would like to see next? How can we help you do a good job based on what we talked about today? And what do you need from us? Who wants one-to-one sessions?
I think Brittany Terrace is so new that we're learning it the way you're saying it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you've said is the way we're doing it. And I know that Brenda, I sat with you, Molly, once. I was treasurer for a month. But yeah, I think this is great. And it's always nice to just be a brush up on this, for me anyway. So I thank you for that. Yes.
Anything we leave out that you would want other folks in your, because we can also, the other thing is I can do mini trainings in board meetings if that would help. So if you want a 10-minute training in the middle of a meeting, or 4 months in a row, that would be a possibility as well.
Sounds good.
Does anybody want one-on-ones?
And also one more thing,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Joanne, we'll be.
oh, Mike,
we'll be
you're
in touch.
muted.
Okay.
There we go. I would like to set one up. A one-on-one. That would be really helpful to me.
Very cool.
We
So,
don't have a treasurer. I'm not. I mean, I learned a lot just listening today. But I'd like to learn more, and I'd like to see more of our financials myself. The way it is right now, I rely on our management company for everything financial. And we actually at the beginning of the pandemic, we turned it over. We don't even sign the checks anymore. They're signing the checks. So, and we're about at the end of that. So.
And another thing,
oh, I was just going to say, Molly's been really, the way that I learned, the way that I've started to get a clue about this was starting to plug the numbers in from the various reports, and I'm still just learning, but yeah, that, like what you said, that's the way to, that's the method to get to a sense of having really have a handle on this stuff. Go ahead, Molly.
I was just gonna say, I also want to empower you all, if you don't already, to, feel like you can ask your property manager, like, if you see a number that you're like, I don't understand where this came from, or why did we spend this much on, maintenance last month? You can ask those questions, and they should be able to answer them because they're doing your books for you. So they have all the invoices, and they can say like, oh yeah, we had to trim a bunch of trees or something, like it's not asking in an accusatory way, but just ask, thanks, Ron. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Have a good day. Just that you want to know, for the financial health of the organization, and that you're entitled to that information too. So, in the past, I would, just email, just ask, because John and I have to do this loan servicing for all your loans. So we take your monthly reports and put them into a system. And when I saw numbers, I was like, well, this is out of left field. I would just ask property managers like, hey, or Terry, like, hey, where did this number come from? Can you explain it to me? And they have that answer at their fingertips, or they should. So feel free to ask those questions. Those are not bad questions to ask.
I was just gonna say, be careful how you ask.
Yes, I will say there's like an accusatory way you can ask those questions, and a more like, I'm curious, I noticed this, the budget was this expenditure was this, like, what's up with that? But yeah, there's definitely you can finesse that and ask it nicely for sure.
Well, we have to actually approve, something before it's done. So that's when we know what's being done. If we approved today the potholes, things have to be approved. So we more or less know where it's going, because if not, I call Tiffany and say, hey, what's going on? And that's it. I could say that to her too.
Right.
Yeah, you go through a bidding process. Yeah, that was interesting to see you guys do that bidding process the other night. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. I think we got the 4 bids. We did. Yeah, we want a better price. Well, not the better price, the best that we thought would be possible.
That's why we pay our own bills, so we know what our money's being spent on.
Yeah.
And see, I keep, from the very beginning, I set up a ledger and a check register. And at the end of the month, I send that out to the management company with all my invoices.
Right, because they have to
And
be
then-
able to reconcile the book.
Right, and then they do whatever they do.
Is that on paper or is that Excel? What's your ledger look like?
We use Google Drive.
Okay. So it's like a spreadsheet then on Google Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then I printed out the whole thing at the end of the year, so we have paper. And then they're all kept on the drive, and then all the board members that have, they can go in there and look at it. They have access. They can't edit my ledger, but they can look at it, because I don't want anybody going in and, making, accidentally
Yeah,
changing something.
Yeah, Joanne, this is the Google Docs we were talking about yesterday.
that.
This is that
yeah,
same
and
thing,
actually,
Google Docs.
that's a great option, Terry. Yeah, to be able to keep it in a place where everyone can look at it whenever they want. And we could probably put these trending reports into Google Sheets if that would be helpful for folks.
I already did that. I just did it.
Too slow.
So we're at 3:01.
Mm.
Any last thoughts? I'm kind of leaning towards declaring victory and thanking
Thank you.
everybody for participating.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Learned a lot.
Good to see you.
Very
Take it
cool.
easy. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
You too.
yeah.
Enjoy.
You guys too.
It's gonna rain here.
Oh, no.
And I'll be in touch with Joanne and Mike. Very cool.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Soon.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.